there, good girls. Have you been reading the news lately and just feel like it's too dark and you need some cognitive offloading?
And romantasy wasn't enough of cognitive
Yeah.
offloading. Maybe it was a little too
Women-
realistic.
20-year-old women in relationships with 500-year-old fairies wasn't unrealistic enough for you?
Yeah, we need a little bit further.
Have we got an episode for you? So, as lightly teased on our last episode, we decided if we're going to have a smut podcast, you can only go so long before you have to delve into the world of sentient object romance. And so here we are today, okay? Both of us having read several of these. I gotta admit, I think I like about them. They're so short.
I
And
feel
fun.
horrible for judging sentient object romance so much. I wouldn't say I was turned on by it, but they are quirky and fun reads. Yeah, fully enjoyed.
They were fun and there were still some good sex scenes. Yeah, I think it really depends on the sentient object as to whether I am turned
You're
on.
right. I think
and
I read a little bit too much about the balloon one.
the ones that I found to be a little bit hotter were ones that were bending a little bit in terms of they were semi-human or they spent time as human, which having learned is technically breaking the sentient object rules. But we're all just here to be entertained and maybe a little titillated. So I feel like we should stop here and do a bit of a content warning. Obviously, all of our episodes are not for children. Or even teenagers. They contain some sexual content that is raunchy and a little bit ridiculous. This is a lot that. So if that does not sound like the thing for you, or you're maybe in a place where you're afraid your AirPods are going to fall out and suddenly this is going to start blasting on speakerphone in your office, this would not be the episode to have suddenly start
Yes,
blasting in
we
your
will
office.
be talking about what a balloon shifter's penis might look like.
Well, I hope you already stopped the episode by now. Okay, so jumping in, Kay, to as we were saying, maybe the hotness of the sentient object and the likelihood of you also being like turned on by the book, somewhat dependent on the writing. I feel like these writers are very skilled, and I felt like it was hotter than I thought it was. Although, again, maybe not my go-to for getting turned on. It's also dependent on what the object is that is fucking and being fucked, depending on what the manner is. So here are a few for you. These are all from real books, some of which you may have read. Door, pants, pillow, banana, Leif Erikson statue, caps lock. I'm mystified by that one. I did not read the caps lock one. I might go
I
back
also
just
saw
because I'm
one with Clippy, like the Microsoft Word
okay.
Clippy.
That one I get how that would work. I'm like, one was also like an ampersand. I was like, how do you? What's a sentient ampersand? Gotta go back and read
writer's
it.
block. Like, I'm spending too much time looking at these buttons.
Right, but I love the creativity. Then deviled egg.
Okay.
You don't have to rank all of them, just what jumps out to you as potentially hot and which ones are you like, I don't care how good of a writer you are, I'd be seriously impressed that you made this object spicy.
So banana feels obvious because
Yeah.
it's already in the shape that I need it to be in.
Like, I could literally see somebody
Yeah.
just fucking a
Yeah.
banana,
It can't be
fucking
an
themselves with a banana.
unpeeled banana, though. And the banana has to be unpeeled. Not the
Yes.
banana cannot be peeled. I mean, it can't be like the squishiness. I need some firmness. But I feel like the banana is the easiest. And then I'll go into
Concerns aside about my vaginal microbiome, because I was just reading a lot about that, and yogurt douches as a way that some people are rebalancing their thing, but I would worry with a banana about fungus or pesticides. But other than that, I think we have to try to pull ourselves a little bit away from our quotidian concerns about.
Well, I can't pull it away for the deviled egg. So the deviled
Yeah,
egg would
yeah.
definitely not be there. That's just the wrong texture and messiness level. I
Yeah,
can't imagine wanting something that is creamy.
the deviled egg does have herbal pubes and a like large baguette-sized penis, so it does have a separate penis.
I think that deviled eggs and herbal pubes are something that
Those are net turnoffs to me.
Yes.
But I think that a deviled egg is very polarizing, so it really depends how you feel about deviled eggs in general. And I feel like they have a weird
I
smell.
enjoy deviled eggs. I can eat a lot of deviled eggs. I just don't want to put them near my vagina.
Yeah, I like a deviled egg, yeah, but not a turn on.
Leif Erikson, not my type. And a reason for that is I have a weird thing with like iron, and so he wears a lot of iron. Knights never do it for me. So he's like a big
Oh, I
Viking
thought he was a
cat.
Viking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's okay. So yes, he's not. You're right.
He's not a knight.
Knight's
He's
the
a
wrong
Viking.
word, but Viking cap, just instantly like, "Oh, I have to touch it and deal with it," and
I'm maybe interested in this one because he's more humanoid, and I was attracted to the more humanoid ones. Like, at least
nah,
it's
give me the
man-shaped.
banana.
Okay, yeah.
Or the pillow. I'd also, because I could imagine,
The
like
pillow one was fun, yeah, pillow makes sense,
I
and
could
there are
imagine
people
masturbating on the pillow, like, this
who
is
have object romances with pillows that I can only assume in real life are not sentient, so having a pillow pal is definitely a thing. So that one makes sense. The sweatpants, I need to read that one to understand, but I mean, I guess they sort of, like, encase around you. I
pretty
don't
nice
know.
and warm, maybe the string gets involved, I don't know.
Yeah, there could be just, like, a bulge coming out of the sweatpants, but in a
I've
normal sexual encounter, I feel like you'd want to take off the sweatpants to get to whatever's underneath, so need more information about that one.
door, nice, big, thick, wooden,
What's not
got
to
a
love?
knob. Yeah, I could, it's not far off to imagine getting
That knob, though.
Yeah, yeah, the knob, obviously, you'd have to, like, position yourself around the knob.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hinges, you don't wanna get anything pinched in the hinges, so but,
yeah.
yeah, mail slot maybe, could have some fun with that, depending on who's having the fun and, what other appendages you have. Great. So if you haven't been introduced to sentient object romance yet, then that was probably totally confusing. So let's back up a little bit for people who, like us, before maybe a week ago, had not delved into this delightful little sub corner of the internet and book talk.
Yes. So, casual definition is that a human, they say often a woman, but Chuck Tingle is the main original writer, and he did it primarily for gay men, and a formerly inanimate object that gains sentience, and then they have a romantic steamy relationship. The core rule in most is that the object remains an object. There's no full human transformation.
Mhm.
But that being said, Vera Valentine is a big known sentient object romance. And I would say that in hers, it seems like they're more like shifters.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
they
and
become a human, but they still have the qualities of like the door or the balloon.
yeah, yeah, and obviously, I also feel like there's a lot of genre crossover here. Not everything that we read in this was purely that, so I guess it's also maybe what you find most entertaining or most of a turn on, whatever you're reading it for. Because yeah, I thought that that was part of it, and then the first one that I just happened to pick up, I just sort of flipped through some recommendations, things that had come across my feed once I started searching in this category. So the first one I read was Stiff by Thea Mason, and I was like, "Oh, okay, is this all sentient object romance is?" Because he starts out, he starts out as a man in the, like, 13th century, and then he's punished by a witch for, always taking his pleasure but never giving it in return, so the witch curses him.
Did you hear that, men? Because this
Yes.
witch might be real.
Yes. I mean, this happens across a couple of books. There was, like, a banana pie one where a man was cursed to be a banana for similar I think in that case, it was for lack of
Sign me
consent.
up, Mr. Banana.
Yeah, well, this was a non-consenting getting banana, so now the banana is being exposed to some non-consensual stuff, I think. Um, so yeah, he gets turned into an ivory dildo as punishment, and he doesn't get released until somebody happens to stick him in their mouth, which was unclear why that was the out, other than that it was something that was unlikely to happen. Then there's like this sex toy researcher, and she has all these historical sex toys that she's using to write her book, and the thing that I found least believable about this one actually is that she is somebody who has the historian's background to be qualified to write a book on the history of sex toys, and she herself has never used one before, and so she's like a sex toy virgin. So anyway, she like sticks it in her mouth to just like get herself excited to maybe do some sex toy play, and then that releases him from his dildo form, and then the entire book, he's just in a human form, but it's a very delightful book because then it's like he's been observing all of these things for all the years that he's been trapped in
Oh,
his
so he
dildo
knows his
form.
stuff now.
He knows his stuff, and then the witch says that now he has a chance to earn his freedom, that he has to give more than he gets, and, otherwise he gets turned back into a dildo or maybe just a pig. So other than the fact that the
It's really
threat
important that you get the details right for these sentient
I
objects.
know. The threat of him potentially being turned back into a non-human thing, he spends the entire book as a human, but I was a little bit confused because that was, like, the first one that I picked up other than the JD Vance couch fucking one, which was just his whole other genre of silliness. And so I was like, "Oh, is this all that it is? Okay, like, that's not that weird." But that just happened to be the first one that I picked up. I then delved into some other ones, and it does get quite weird, and for the most part, they do kinda stay in their object form for most of the book, or that is the core of the genre, and then obviously it goes into shapeshifters.
I do want to say that I have read some hot books, just going back to Thea's, that the guy puts a vibrator or dildo in the girl's mouth while he's like effing her from behind.
Mhm.
And that's one possible sexy case I can think of where it goes in the mouth and it's not some virgin sex toy person just
Yeah.
sticking it in her mouth
I
by
thought that was
herself.
a very
I've never
creative
by myself been like, oh, take it, Kay.
I guess she was just feeling weird and was like, "What do I do?" And because he's been on the shelf in some different sex toy researchers' labs over his years since he hasn't been used as much recently, then he knows how all the other sex toys are used. So he initiates her into the world of enjoying lots of sex toys.
Ooh, yeah.
So,
You know what? This is like a sales pitch for this book. I
yeah,
might read it.
yeah, pick it up.
So
I think that it was a good crossover one for people who are sentient object curious but aren't ready for, like, a rubber duck that actually does have a
and it's
corkscrew-shaped
okay if
penis.
you're never ready for that.
I don't think anybody's ever ready for the rubber duck to actually just, like, bust out a corkscrew-shaped boner, but fun fact, that is how duck penises are shaped.
Hmm.
And
So,
spoiler for a future episode when I finish reading Vagina Obscura, which is a great book, and I wanna do multiple episodes about all the things I learned from there. Duck vaginas are also corkscrew shaped, but in the opposite direction to keep the men out
huh.
so that they can have more choice over who fertilizes their eggs.
Now I have to Google image duck penis and duck vagina, and I don't know if
You
I actually
could do that, but you won't unsee those images.
So, my first intro was Squeak by Vera Valentine. Squeak is a balloon animal Omega-verse tale. And let
Oh,
me
we have
tell
to do a
you,
whole other thing about Omegaverse.
they were basically were-balloons, so the same way
Yes.
as werewolves are like wolves that shift into humans, they were balloons that shifted into humans but kept balloon features, and so, like,
I'm
the
more into that than I'm into
ejaculate
werewolves. Werewolves are just gonna smell like dogs that haven't been bathed.
So when Poppy, who of course is the
Poppy.
girl because she could, pop them,
Cute.
when she does a BJ, she wonders why the penis feels so smooth and, rubbery, and that it's almost like he's wearing a condom, and then
Oh.
when, he orgasms, it comes out in like he deflates afterwards, and the ejaculate smells like funnel cake icing because it's meant to be, a kind of carnival themed.
Oh, okay. At least it
Yeah.
doesn't taste like latex, because that's kind of my only issue that I'm picturing with the balloon animals, is that you would not go down on a condom
There were
or
some
ugh,
latex
I don't
vibes
know.
coming
Yeah.
for me, and I was like, "You need to blow into their mouths to inflate their exceptional penises, and then it grows a knot, like the werewolf or dog type of knot to
Oh, yeah.
yeah, at the base,
I
and
knew
then
nodding would
yeah.
come up again eventually if we kept reading weird stuff.
I never pictured that being balloon shapeshifters, and then like, the balloon tie knot you can picture is at the end of the penis.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Is it
so
sort of like a balloon clitoris as well? Does it function in that way where it has, like, particularly high sensitivity?
I don't think that Vera gave us those details. But,
We'll have to invent
yeah.
our own balloon animal fanfic, Kay.
I just love that why not throw in omega and alpha stuff into this shifter balloon universe? So if you know what, Vera Valentine, I was entertained.
Yeah, I do like that. I definitely sense just from reading some of the author's pages and flipping through things that it is just a very accepting, anything goes kind of corner of the internet, and all of them on their pages or like some of the book talk people that are reposting this kind of stuff were all posting it in a very, like, "Don't yuck anybody else's yum" kind of way,
Or
like
just read it and you'll see that they're, like, in on the joke. They have a million and one puns in there, you
yeah, no, they're
know?
so
Yeah.
punny. Well, that is something I think that came across is that a lot of it seems very clever. I do feel like the people who are writing it are actually above average intelligence, and before this episode, I saw somebody's video that she was just like, "I know that we're all reading our cognitive offloading, whatever kind of smut, and that's a smart woman thing because these are women who are running the world during the day and just need to unplug at night. But if you are reading sentient object romance, to me, that is next level. Like, you are the smartest, most boss bitch because you needed the silliest, most ridiculous thing to relax and unplug in your evenings or on your train ride, whatever you want to do it. And I was like, after I I kind of rolled my eyes at it again until I read this, and I'm like, oh, these things are very
They're just
clever
silly
and
and
silly.
and yes, the way that they write them are 100% your brain could not be off or low thinking to be able to come up with these very hilarious creative books. So,
Yes.
cheers.
Also, a lot of neurodivergent authors I noticed in reading author bios, and I was like, that's awesome that that's a fun way to channel not seeing things in a neurotypical way into making something that's very fun and enjoyable. So I thought that that was interesting representation as well. Tell us a little bit about the history of this. And, I think most of us are thinking of this book talk explosion of people's interest in sentient object romance in the past, I don't know, like year or two is the only time I've been hearing about it.
Yes, but here we are, going back to the times of Ovid. Very, very, very far, far, away in time.
Far back in time,
Yeah.
in the Wayback Machine.
Yes, Pygmalion myth from Ovid's Metamorphoses. A sculptor named Pygmalion carves an ivory white, ivory is white, statue of the ideal woman, falls in love with this statue, and then prays to Venus, who brings the statue to life. So, slightly breaking the sentient object
Mm.
rules because she did come to life. So, a creator falling in love with their creation, and it's also in other traditions from Jewish to Mesopotamian. So we have always thought a
Been
little
into the
bit
idea of what if this banana could fuck
could
me?
come to life and I could fall in love with
What if
them.
my door?
Then here's what I really love is that in 1742, a French author, Claude Prosper Joliot, I'm sure I
That
pronounced
was
that
good
wrong.
French. Keep going.
Yeah, that was
Carry
exactly
on.
how a French person would say it. Published Les Sofa, Conte Moral, The Sofa, A Moral Tale.
What's
Novel
the
where a
moral of the
man is
tale?
cursed to become a sentient sofa, and he can only return to human form after witnessing or facilitating virtuous sex on him.
That is kind of like the JD Vance
I
pushing
was my
cushions.
my brain exploded when I saw that it was 1742, because here we are in modern day times reading about JD Vance effing a sofa. Like, we're all so tied together.
Oh.
Um And then ETA Hoffman's stories in 19th century also explored sentient like objects or dolls inspiring desire and obsession. We've
And
been
then we've got
here.
Chucky, I don't know, who gets
Yeah.
married.
Marion Engel, 1976, a woman has a relationship with a bear. And so that would be called like a true sentient, you
No, I
know?
guess that would be more bestiality, but there was also
Oh,
a lot of crossover there too with the bestiality, honestly. There was dryer lint monster one, and I was like, is this more of like a beast smut or sentient object? Who knows? Por qué no los dos?
yes, you're right. We're looking for things that should totally be non-sentient
Yeah, like
made
they'd be
life.
inanimate. Or not necessarily. I got jellyfish one that actually the jellyfish one was a lot better than I was, but that was kind of a crossover with tentacle porn, I would say. And I liked it more than I thought I would.
No, I haven't read tentacle porn before, and I'm interested because I feel like authors who I like reference tentacle porn, and now that I've read Sentient Object Romance, I'm like, have I been putting off tentacle porn the same way as I've been putting off Sentient Object Romance? Like, if I actually read it, would I end up being like,
These
"Oh, you guys
are
are
the key
wonderful"?
questions we all ask ourselves as we begin to near middle age and wonder, what am I doing with my life? And should I be reading tentacle porn?
Yes.
I don't know. So I haven't
Mhm.
either, but I do think that maybe this one would be a good crossover for you. So this one was part of a series. And I chose this one because it was by Unfortunate Reads, who is the Baltimore mom that I hope I will soon meet and become best friends with, and the co-author of Push and Cushions. It's called My Date with a Jellyfish. And so because I was picturing tentacle porn, I was picturing more like alien monster kind of things, and the main character is on the beach at the beginning of the book, and she's reading an alien tentacle porn kind of thing on her Kindle that she's into. And I'm like, I guess that's what I was picturing when I'm thinking of things with tentacles, and I'm less into sexy aliens. But she goes out to sea, gets thrown overboard, and then gets like rescued by this giant glowy jellyfish that has these gentle tentacles that can just hold her and not sting her, which are her mouth arms, not tentacles. And then she takes her to an island, and then she's like, "My other form besides being the jellyfish Medusa is a Scylla, like Scylla and Charybdis in the Odyssey." So she's like tentacles on the bottom, kind of, and then mermaidy woman on the top, topless woman. So she does become, I guess part of this one for me is that she becomes partially she's humanoid, and I think that she's, like, female instead of, like, some male thing with just, like, a bunch of extra dicks that it's shoving into you. The tentacles had a very, like, feminine kind of, uh, way about them.
I've definitely read alien smut where the penis has extra appendages.
That's not you're not
Is
that
there
far off from
more?
tentacle porn then.
It's like oh, it had, like, a specific piece on it that vibrated, so that way during sex, you basically had, like, a
No, it's just, like,
built-in
built-in
human
sex toys.
vibrator, yeah.
They
That's
should
what
add
I've
them.
seen, and I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need, like, my husband to go through plastic surgery to get one, but I didn't hate it. He's something that he could consider.
Yeah,
He
I know,
loves
just
me.
the Christmas ideas. Just
Yeah,
get back
just a
to
little
K.
extra piece of skin with, some powers to it.
I do have to say that My Date with a Jellyfish was part of a Sentient Object holiday series, and that was where some of the more interesting, like, the caps lock and the ampersand one came from. So when I saw this, I'm like, "What do these things have to do with the holidays?" Because 'Cause I'm picturing, they do, like, a holiday series where it's, like, snowed in, cookie cutter Christmas. These are sentient object holidays. So you know how, like, every day is, like, National Ice Cream Sundae Day, National S'mores Day? They picked different random holidays and then wrote there was a collection of authors,
I love people
many of
so
your
much.
favorites I
That's so
know. So they
amazing.
just picked whichever random holiday, like National Ampersand Day, and then wrote My Date with a whatever. So there's a whole series of them. There's Edible Book Day by Holly Wilde, who is another prolific sentient object author. Um, the Sweatpants one with, Dakota Cockaday, and then if you wanted to stay on calendar for your sentient object holidays, your next one would be My Date with Water for World Water Day on March 22nd, if you're feeling festive and horny.
Ooh.
Also, that one I was like, again, I feel like
Hmm.
that's kinda like crossover-y, 'cause
The water has to
isn't
end
that
up
just like
turning
the
in.
handheld shower attachment?
I feel like the water is gonna end up turning into a human form, but still water.
Yeah, I'm
Kind of
interested to
like,
read that one.
Elemental, the Disney Pixar movie.
But
I'm just now
horny.
imagining that guy, but
But
yeah.
horny and with a vibrating dick, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, he's gonna be awesome. He has a very nice vibe to him. I didn't personally think about him as a sexual character, but I could. Well, that's wonderful to know about.
So let's talk more about why do people love this or why do people love to hate this? But either way, they're talking about it.
So I think that men online who like to rage bait women, I think that they like to use it as another example of why women are like crazy and weird.
Yeah.
But we are crazy and weird.
And as
That's all
referenced in
right.
our last episode, the men are not okay. So I feel like
Maybe they need to read this. Yeah.
the more that like hetero men are not a good alternative, and this is just speaking from the straight ladies department. Obviously, other people have different things that they're facing, but if who you're looking at as a potential romantic partner is a straight man, then it's looking rough out there, ladies. So honestly, I feel like there is kind of a tie between the two. So this was research from the Global Institute for Women's Leadership and Ipsos, and they found that 24% of Gen Z men, 24% think women should not appear too independent or self-sufficient. A similar percent think a real woman should never initiate sex. And 60% of Gen Z men say men are expected to do too much to support equality. A similar percentage say we've gone so far in promoting women's equality that we're discriminating against men. So, in the face of that, for these poor women coming out into the dating world, I totally understand that in that world, a banana cream pie with a sexy sentient banana honestly sounds,
Make it fun.
yeah,
Yeah, and it's just
at
it's,
least
similar-ish to romantasy, but romantasy also takes getting involved in, like, intense world building and fiction, and sometimes you only have room for your little 70 to 80-page
I do
novella
feel like
that's gonna
after
be
how
horny.
long it took me to read the whole Court of Thorn and Roses series just in time for the new one.
So there's one coming out end of October, and the second's coming out in, January.
Oh, I don't even get how that
So
works. Good for her. But yeah, sometimes I feel like, again, if what we're truly doing this for is for a break from reality, then sometimes I don't even have the mental space for all this complex world building, keeping track of all these characters. It is a lot easier when the characters are just like the
60 to
jellyfish
70 pages, it
and the
makes you
human woman.
laugh, it gets you horny, like, "Okay, that's all I needed out of
Yeah.
this
Yeah. So
experience."
honestly, men, if you want us not to be turning to sweatpants romance, then you need to do better. You need to do better than the sweatpants. And it says a lot that you are not doing better than a sentient pair of sweatpants.
We'd rather have sex with a deviled egg. Well,
I
you
might draw
know
the line
me,
at the
yeah.
deviled egg, but
Yeah,
the
the
sweatpants,
banana or the
I'm
pillow.
interested.
The balloons with the knots, to add some extra friction are looking good, and that's not a good sign for men.
Yeah, one thing I realize is that it might be a fun way to have a break from just like aspects of human sex that you, it's not that you like hate them, like jizz, for example. I don't think that there are a lot of women that, I mean, obviously there are the women in pornos, and maybe they're representative of a certain group of people who just really love to have guy come all over them. There are also women who are like, it does gross me out, and they just like don't want it in there. But what if instead you lived in a world where it was caramel funnel cake flavored jizz, or with the case of the pillow, that it is just an explosion of feathers and there is no cleanup on
And it would
your
never go in your mouth because that would
mattress.
just, choke you, so you don't wanna die, so of course you're not gonna have
Again, I
have
think,
any of
yeah,
that.
then you're just kind of having an explosion
Ooh,
out in the
yeah, so
air.
that was just like a little pillow fight.
Yeah.
Things to think about, guys.
Of course, this touches on kink and representation, the ways that you can explore some of these things freely. A lot of the books, if you get down to it, they are kind of exploring some themes in a very fun, silly way about non silly things like learning to trust your intuition, enjoying pleasure. The stiff one, for example, she always felt like she had to hold herself in to not make it about her, so she never made any noise, and she had never experimented with the sex toys, so, like, part of her journey with the sentient dildo turned back into 13th century noble is that she got to explore all that, and of course, by the end, she's screaming out his name, etcetera,
Ooh.
and trying all of her
I hope
toys.
that he's clean. I hope that when he came back into human form, he wasn't in his 19th century dirtiness.
And having, like, dental issues and stuff, so I'm hoping that the witch helped her out a little bit with that. Some people have pointed out that how you used to find out about books versus, how you are now finding out about them, certainly with Instagram, Book Talk, you're getting these quick reels, so anything that is more, like, explosive and spicy and grabs your attention, like, this is gonna grab your attention a lot more than somebody reviewing, like, a cozy romance with a hetero
Yeah, if
guy
you
and
see
girl in a
that
small
somebody's having
town.
sex at the door, you're like,
I am interested. I feel like
"Yes."
that's how we got drawn into this, and at the same time, I was also a little bit like, "Ugh, I'm just gonna read this as a joke," and I was like, "Alright, it's cute," and,
Very funny.
yeah, some
Yeah,
of the
clever.
reviews were like, "Oh, I only read this because I'm in part of an unhinged book club," and I'm like, "You tell yourself whatever you need to, but it probably took you 25 minutes to read that very
And
short
you
book.
probably smiled at some
And
point.
you sat there for the whole 25 minutes for whatever enjoyment you got out of it, whether it was because you were turned on by deviled eggs or because it jizzes it, comes with, whipped egg yolks, by the way, which I'm not sure that that's any less gross or messy than actual cum, but, that is neither here nor there.
Wow, I like the idea of caramel coming out as jizz or feathers more than,
Yeah.
whipped egg
Yeah, it's like
yolk.
and I want it to be
I don't need
something.
it to be exactly like cum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I think that that is the food item that you could get that's probably close if you
That
make it a
might
little
be
bit,
what
like,
comes out
salty.
of them. I don't
Yeah, I don't
know.
know.
Yeah, it
I
might
haven't
be
studied
egg
it
yolk.
side by side, so I really can't say.
Gross.
But anyway, my point is, it's like, if what you took away and enjoyed about it is that you were turned on and you got super horny, great. If it's that you had a little laugh and a smile and forgot about the newsreels for a second, also good. Or if
If
it was
it's that
just
you never look at a balloon animal the same way.
or you just had a very silly thing to talk about with your, regrettable reads book club, then that's fun too.
Probably the only book club I should be a part of. So I have to tell you real fast about the crazy book that I read over the week that I totally stayed up late, lost work time for everything. It's called Daggermouth. It is nuts. So one, it was amazing writing, so sexy. But they
Is
did have
this a sentient object romance?
it's not sentient object, but it is nuts. So
It is
so
unhinged.
at
Good.
one scene they
Throw it
like
in.
get back to the guy's apartment and there is like a troop there who's like tries to assassinate the guy and they shoot like six guys down. So they're surrounded by like dead
Mm,
people in his
okay.
apartment. And then the woman goes to shoot him and he says, "If you try to shoot me right now, it's just gonna make me want to fuck you even more." And
Mm,
she's like, "No
just
way."
kill him.
And then she shoots him and it grazes his shoulder, and then he shoots her in the same way where it just like grazes a little bit, but not serious damage.
But they're
And
both super turned on
then
by
yes,
this?
and then they start intensely hooking up and he goes down on her, like surrounded by the bodies. And it really
Oh,
says something
so
that like
unhinged.
I was into this. I wasn't into like they didn't need to shoot each other, but the actual scene, I was like, fuck, 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 I'm so excited. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So
How did you find out about this book?
I'm everywhere all the time. Yeah, when you like when you have an unhealthy conception of weird romantasy books, and I say weird in the most loving way,
Yeah,
then yeah, I
just the
check
weird
on
corner.
Reddit. I do like somewhat trust what Kindle Unlimited recommends me.
I heard a couple authors complaining that they especially ones that write more in the short, spicy novella, Kindle Unlimited type of things, that their genres have been taken over by AI authors, and so there was one, like, she said that she, published one of 2 of that she knew to be written by human Viking romance, or, like, some Viking smut, something, something, and she's like, "Oh, where are all these other books coming from? Like, why don't I know these authors?" And then she starts researching them, and also, like, you see their author photos, and they look like not exactly a real person and stuff. So I was so delighted, that this is fiction that is so weird that AI couldn't possibly have written it, but more than that, all of the authors that I saw that, like, mentioned anything, like, in there about themselves, and maybe because
They're a
they're
non-AI group.
yeah,
Yeah.
they are, and they're, like, so anti-AI everything, which I feel like most authors are, but they go out of their way to state that too, especially because 'cause I'm sure some people who, again, haven't read it, don't really understand what it is, are like, "Oh my gosh, like, this must just be AI generated," and it's like, "No, it's too weird to be AI," and these authors are all, like, very firmly on the, like, nothing creative should be coming from AI because it's just stealing other people's work, which is true. So I love that they're out there fighting the good fight. And that is basically like what you gotta do is create something so weird and so atypical that AI can't even keep up with creating it.
Yeah, it's so hard. Sometimes when there's occasional things that I'll start reading the first chapter and I'll feel like this if it's not AI, is then it's not written in a style that I it's
Yeah.
either AI or it's just not written to
Or
my
yeah.
style because it doesn't feel like it feels very vanilla. But then it's just I don't know, it is just kind of scary that you could probably tell AI to write a quirky, funny novel, and they'll probably
Yeah, I also feel like they have a lot of guardrails on it other than maybe Grok, that might prevent them from just writing some truly unholy sex scenes, so good.
so there's
Keep your
that.
guardrails on. Yeah. All right, so final reflections on your reads. Takeaway, if you were to recommend to somebody who wants to step into the genre, where would you recommend they start?
I feel like Vera Valentine's unhinged, but I would let them know that it's not a true sentient object romance,
Mhm.
because the door does transform into a man. I think it's a
But
nice
again, maybe a good
example
entry
of
point. You get a little bit of the sentient object, but also
and just not to be judgy, because I know that when I saw, like, Door and Vera Valentine, I was like, "This must be, like, the weirdest group of people alive, and I'm really weird, but they even, like they beat me out in it." And then I actually read it, and I'm like, "Oh, you're just extremely funny and clever." Like, you're laughing along with everybody else. This isn't like
yeah, yeah,
you wrote some tense,
yeah,
love story between a woman and a door who's
yeah.
can like, it's not like the door has, like, a smiley face and is like, "Hi, I'm here." Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, I would say the stiff one again, not a true sentient object romance, but a fun way to get into it and just packed full. It has little factoids between chapters that are just fun facts that I learned about sex toys, which made me think we should do an episode
Sex toy
on the history
episode.
of sex toys. Yeah.
Wow.
And then which one do you feel like legit was the most that you were like, all right, like this is kind of hot.
Hmm.
You have to pick one.
I just
And I know you
don't
haven't read the deviled egg one yet, so you can't pick that as much as you want to.
I don't know if I was reading the right ones to feel particularly turned on. I mean, like, Squeak was a cute love story. Like, maybe The Banana in My Butt is a Handsome Lifeguard by Chuck Tingle would have been the one for me, but
I
I
wish.
didn't. Yeah.
Well, there's still
Uh,
time. We'll come back and report when we've had a chance to read a few more of these. And once Kay has gotten to dabble her toes into the world of tentacle porn with the My Date with the Jellyfish book as well.
Not
Um,
opposed to it.
yeah, and a couple others that are on my list that I didn't get to reading because there's so much out there. Frosted, a Frosty the Snowman erotic parody by Rebecca Massey and Heidi Schmidt. And I felt like if only
The
because
Netflix movie was great.
yeah, I want, like, a more unhinged version of that and minus Lacey Chabert, so I think that that could be fun and maybe an entry into our next year's holiday smut read so that we can get a little, we should have an entry from the sentient object category, and then just because this dovetails into last episode, Chuck Tingle just I think recently did one called Not Pounded by This T-Rex on the US men's hockey team because it turns out he's a mega dork.
Oh, a Chuck Tingle.
Yeah, so this is from Book on a Feeling because there weren't that many reviews yet on Goodreads, and this is who, on Instagram, Book on a Feeling is who I have been getting some of these sentient object romance recommendations from. They rate things on how many out of 5 unhinged, length, and how many out of 5 giggles, which I feel like is a very good, two-axis rating scale for your smut. So it says FMC gets hit in the face by a hockey puck at the US Olympic hockey finals by the star player, who is a T Rex man apparently named Flanto Bream. Everyone knows this dinosaur, enraptured by both his hockey skills and his ravishingly good looks. They go on a date where he orders them both chocolate milk because question mark. Conversation reveals that he is a Trump supporter and literally such a dork. She ditches him and ends up getting asked out by a US women's hockey team player. It was a hilarious political quick read. Sounds
I just love,
hilarious.
like, why did they both get chocolate milk? And why was that detail worth the sharing and, like, the
And
the
why
brief
is he okay,
description?
but also, why is he a dinosaur? But also, I love
No,
it.
no, no.
As
That's
normal.
questions about why is he a dinosaur, then why was the chocolate milk explicitly called out in the
That's what I love
description?
about these books is the fact that it's like a dinosaur sentient
Everybody's in
object.
on the jokes. Yeah.
No questions there. That's totally normal and fine. It's more the things of like, why is the sex toy author never used a sex toy? Or why is the dinosaur going on a date and they're both ordering chocolate milk?
Yeah, why not water?
Questions we will answer on the next episode.
Wonderful. Well, this was a bunch of fun.
This was.
Yeah.
I was unexpectedly delighted by all the research that we did.
Yeah,
And yeah,
just, it shows me every single time, like, no judgment until you've done it yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
Would I, like, immediately dig back into it? No. Am I gonna read Stiff? I think I am gonna read Stiff. I think I might actually like Stiff. I think I might actually get turned on by Stiff. I'm not sure. I didn't know that I was into ivory dildos, but I think I am now.
All right,
Based off the
we'll do a check
description.
back in on next episode.
Woohoo. Well, thanks for listening. As always, have a great week.